This is the Back Row Bengals Sports Podcast. I am your host, Josh Miller. And finally, we are live from Twitter and now YouTube. Brand new on the YouTube channel. Go check it out. Just tweeted out the link. So that way on YouTube, now I can see all of you and I can see all of your comments. And we'll throw up all the comments up on the screen so that way I can read all of them and we can go through them and we can basically just be sad together. An absolutely brutal loss to the Jets that the Bengals took in New York, 34-31. Last game of a three-game away stretch, and we are now 2-3 on that away stretch. Going in now, we are 5-3 overall. Absolutely brutal, and a lot of it was inexcusable, and we're going to get into it right now. Uh, First off, want to say brought to you by fansided.com. Go ahead and head over there for all NFL teams. So if you like not only the Bengals, but somebody else and some other teams, you can go over there. They have all different types of sports, and they're very nice to me. So definitely go over there. And it's absolutely abysmal that the Bengals lost in the way that they did, and it just showed signs of where we came from basically last year. Last year we had 9 losses all by one possession, which it in and of itself is completely inexcusable. But that being said, is that when the eyes are on you, and now that the national media is actually following along with the Cincinnati Bengals, here comes expectation. And now, how does this team handle that expectation? I mean, given that they went into Baltimore and absolutely blew out the Ravens, I mean, obviously the national media is going to be all over them. You got to be able to hold it up. You got to be able to deal with it. This is something that this team has never really had. This is something that Zach Taylor's never really had. He's had local expectation. I mean, obviously this year, we kind of talked about it throughout the year before and the preseason, is that this team really actually, we all kind of knew, it's like, okay, this team actually has a chance to be pretty good. But now everybody knows it. Then nobody's going to take you lightly. Now there is no sneaking up on teams. Everybody knows exactly who you are, and having Joe Burrow as your quarterback doesn't help that. And having the offense that we have doesn't really help that. When Jamar Chase is, um, tearing up every single defense out there, then you can't really sneak up on teams anymore. And who dat Blackthorn. And so when that comes, so now you have that expectation of winning. You have that expectation of going in and actually blowing out teams like the Jets and blowing out teams that, you should, like the Jags a couple weeks ago. And, teams that you should be able to blow out coming up. And you know what? Honestly, you should be able to beat Cleveland. They're beaten, they're battered, and they're pointing fingers. Should be able to beat Cleveland next week. Um, but that being said, they go into New York. They let Mike White look like Dan Marino. And there's a couple reasons of why the Jets offense had so much success. And first, I want to start off with the coaching aspect of it, because I mean, Zach Taylor laid it out in his post game press conference. Got outplayed, got outcoached. Both of those are true. But first, starting off with the coaching part of it, I really don't understand what Lou Anarumo's defensive scheme was going into that game. I mean, this is a guy that has never started in the NFL. I mean, he's got a couple of snaps. He started in the regular season, but he's never started any time outside of that. And instead of putting on the pressure, going man to man, and forcing him to throw, we were running a really soft zone. And everybody knows that. And Jets offense was just a dump off, dump off, dump off, dump off. I mean, it looked like it was Paul Gunther's defense out there during the 2015 year, where we let the Steelers do the exact same thing. I didn't understand why we didn't press up on man. Who on the Jets? Seriously, who on the Jets does like scared us deep on the deep threat? Blackthorn pops up. He says, "Feel like Lou didn't adjust to the dink and dunk," and you're right, he did not. And you know what? That's where the Jets came back. We were up by 11 with 4 minutes to go, and Lou Anarumo didn't adjust to the dink and dunk. Instead, he just kept playing the same way. And I understand, like, it was, I guess, working in the first half, but not really. And he didn't adjust to the dink and dunk, and he didn't do something that we haven't seen all season. We've seen that this coaching staff really take a step forward, and especially Lou Anarumo. And I've been singing his praises this year, as not to compare to last year, but that this game showed like he was doing it like last year and not adjusting. And I don't understand how he went from being aggressive to a really good team like the Ravens, where you saw a lot of blitzes, you saw man to man coverage. How he went from there to go play in the Jets, who don't have a deep threat. I couldn't even name you a receiver on their roster right now. I mean, I'd have to look. And the quarterback hasn't even taken a started a regular season game, and we run soft cushion. That doesn't even make any sense. And then it got worse towards the back half of the game. Now, I want to move over to the playing side of it. This is still on the defensive side of the ball. I I un- Lou Anarumo's scheme would work if we were able to actually tackle. The tackling has been something that the Bengals have done incredibly well this year, especially compared to last year. The the tackling on Sunday was abysmal. It was absolutely abysmal. I believe Logan Wilson graded in at a 26, uh, 26.2. I mean, that's absolutely terrible. And it really was. It was absolutely inexcusable. And the Blackthorn, you're right. I mean, you're 100% on it. The tackling, it was lackadaisical. It was lazy. However, when you're up by 11 with 4 minutes to go, and even though the tackling's been terrible the whole game. What good teams do is instead they step on the gas and they figure out a way to rally to the ball and find a way to get out with a win and do whatever they can do to get out with a win. But instead, this team was lazy and lackadaisical towards the end of the game and could nut up at the end. They couldn't do it. I'm sorry if I'm sniffling a lot. I got a little bit of a head cold here, so I'm trying to not do that. But here I am. Again, if you guys are watching on Twitter, then that's awesome. And you want to like comment in on the show or anything, go to my YouTube page. The link will be in the description. Or not the description. The link will be in like a previous tweet that I had. I think it's the one right before this. And yeah, then you can go and you can come here and you come and talk with me and Blackthorn here. And yeah, so I mean, defensively, like, they really it was not only was it bad, it was shockingly bad. It was shocking. It was something that this defense has never done this year, and it's going to be interesting how they respond. And I will say this: I understand it's the NFL, but I do think this did have something to do with it. It was the third game of an away stretch, and look, and again, it's a reset of expectations because going after the Baltimore game and probably after the game before that, and probably during the Green Bay game, and the expectations were getting higher and higher for this team. But if I would have told you that we went on this 3 game away stand, and I said we went 2-3, you'd be probably pretty happy about that. I mean, I would at the beginning of the year, I would. Now we know full well that that wasn't acceptable, and it wasn't good. Um, but eventually, it came back and it bit them in the ass when you let that jet lag get to you, and you can't do you can't do that. You can't do it against the Jets. The team it's a 1-5 team. Mike White threw for 400 yards, and here's the thing. He's going to look terrible the next couple of. He's going to look terrible. I'm sorry, my dog's barking right now. He's going to look terrible the next couple of days because or games because the Jets are going to start him, but all of his passes were low in the flats, 5 yard slants, 5 yard outs, 5 yard ins. Very, very just slow and fast passes. You play man to man and you force Mike White to throw the ball deep. He doesn't even have 400 yards. He probably has 100 yards. So I mean, one good thing that the defense did though, they won the turnover battle. So now let's jump over to the offensive side of the ball. Let's talk about Joe. Let's talk about Joey here real quick. Uh, Blackthorn, you made a comment here. Is Burrow had a lot of batted balls at the line? Yeah, he did. He really did. And that's something that it hasn't been a problem, but it's been noticeable throughout his career here so far. I've seen him get balls batted at the line before, and you know, it wasn't the worst. It's not his worst characteristic, but it's something to keep an eye on. He's got to learn to be able to read that and pull the ball down, and he's got to get back out to using his legs. And now let's go back to the entire offense because honestly, I thought Joe Burrow played pretty well. I would say that pick at the end was horrible. was on a screen pass, but again, the scheme, the play call was terrible. I mean, it was a screen pass to Jamar, but that's like one of our most predictable plays we have in the playbook. It's so predictable, and I've heard that that the Bengals line up in that formation. That every single team in the NFL knows what they're running. They know they're going to run a screen to Jamar. It's that predictable, and and at the end of the game, it's something that we saw Zach Taylor do that we haven't seen him do all year. And and then I mean, offensively, this team just they did enough to win. I'll give them that, but they didn't do enough to put the Jets away. So let's go back to the turnovers here. You got to be able to capitalize on that Jesse Bates pick that he took to the 1 yard line. I mean, if you can't punch the ball in at the 1 yard line when you got 4 plays to do it, I mean, that's absolutely abysmal. Offensively, that's terrible. And it's showed something that is just like, where is the creativity? Why can't or forget the creativity? Where is the will? Why don't you just line? Why can't you just line up and just get that 1 yard? Just get the yard. You're in the NFL. You're paid to do this. You are this offensive line. Be a better team. You are a better team than the Jets. You're 5-2. They're 1-5. Just get up on the center, real quick, dive forward, touchdown. That's it. We're not even talking about it. That was a massive turning point in the game, and we have that touchdown. It's over. Yeah, right. Pound the rock, man. Pound the rock. I don't get I did not understand that series altogether. I also don't understand why we're going shotgun so much from inside of the 5 yard line. It seems that Zach Taylor likes to do that. And again, I'm not going to bash him because I mean we are 5-3. I did not think we would be 5-3 at this point with 2-0 in the division. Would not. And I'm saying Zach Taylor's doing a great job. We're talking about this game specifically right here. And he's just I didn't understand that. And then on top of that, Zach Taylor's challenge on Joe Mixon's pass that he got down to the 1 yard line made no sense. It made no sense because clearly Joe Mixon wasn't in. I didn't need a review to see that. I really didn't. And the announcers were even confused of why he did that. And really, I was, excuse me, I was genuinely shocked. But on T. Higgins' catch that he took down to the 1 yard line where he wasn't touched and he walked into the end zone, there was no challenge. And then but here's the thing: at the end of the day, and I heard Jay Morrison kind of talk about this on Hear That Podcast Ground on the walkout. He mentioned that like, why don't you have enough trust in your offense to just get that 1 yard? I mean, Joe Mixon was down at the 1 yard line. We eventually ended up getting the touchdown, but push it in. Push it in. Just figure it out. Pound the ball. Pound the ball. Now Blackthorn again making a great. I mean, I should just have you on the show, brother, man. He said he thinks Joe Burrow is more comfortable in the shotgun. Yeah, I would agree with that. He ran a lot of that at LSU. A lot of 5 wide, lot of spread, a lot of shotgun. So I can understand that, but I mean, I guess I'm a little old school. That I mean, when you're just inside of the 5 yard line, you just get up on the center and you just pound the ball. You just pound the rock. So I mean, so going back to what I was really saying, Zach Taylor just didn't do enough to figure it out to put the game away. And look, you scored 31 points. It should be enough, but it's not. That's the problem. It's not. And we had a chance. We had a chance to go back and take the lead back, but it got screwed on by a penalty. And I gotta say that obviously that penalty didn't cost us. We put ourselves in that decision. That's not what I'm saying. There were plenty of things that we could have done to prevent even being there, and we should have done. However, that penalty call was one of the most egregious, horrible, just terrible calls I've seen in a very long time. Forget if it's even right, unless it is like completely like violent head to head. How do you call that? And it wasn't right. It wasn't right. I mean, you can call that on the off. You should have called it on the offense. You really should have. It should have been because the receiver for the Jets lowered his head. I believe that's him initiating the contact. Mike Hilton just he went for the legs. If the receiver doesn't drop his head, which is the definition of helmet to helmet. If the wide receiver doesn't drop his head, there is no penalty. So now you're setting a precedent for basically the rest of the league that the receiver, if he drops his head, there's more of a likely chance that the defense is going to get the penalty. So what are we trying for here? Are we trying to be safe? We're trying to be right? Trying to give the offense more? I don't get it. I think that was an abysmal call. It was an absolutely egregious call. And but here at the end of the day, there were a lot of things that could have been done to not be in that position. And I think there is no singular blame on this game. I would say most of it would go to the coaching staff as a whole. I wouldn't say just Zach Taylor or just Lou Anarumo. I would say it's everybody all together. And I would say it's more the coaching staff because they didn't get them prepared. And that is what it is. Look, it's an emotional victory. A lot of us saw this coming, and a lot of us were like, "Oh, this is not going to happen. We're not going to do that. We're a better team than that. Like we know, we've seen other teams not be able to handle this. It still happened. I mean, Sam Hubbard came off during his post game press conference and basically said it still doesn't feel real. Neither did your tackling, boss man. I mean, the tackling was abysmal. In defensive line got no pressure, and there was no pressure dialed up either. And just going back to my original point with Lou Romo, there was no pressure dialed up. I, and I'm not a defensive coordinator. I've been around football for a long time. If I'm going against a backup quarterback that's never started in a regular season game, I'm heating him up every play. I am heating him. I am forcing him to throw every single time and throw it deep. The one time that he did throw it deep, he overthrew the receiver by 5 yards. He has no deep ball accuracy. There is none. I can go out there and throw five to 10 yard dink and dunks. I can do that all day, all day. I'm sitting here in a chair in Cincinnati, Ohio, talking about the Bengals. I don't even need to be in the NFL to be able to do that. I can go out in the yard and do it with my dog. I, because when there's no pressure coming, it what do I care? Another thing I wanted to bring up that this is more on the offensive side of the ball. It is a play call that doesn't make any sense. It has never worked. I don't know why we're still doing it. It is the halfback dive with Joe Mixon with CJ Uzama as the H back. That play's never worked. It has never worked this year. Excuse me. First of all, number one, CJ Uzama is not an H back. He's not. If you want to put a tight end there, you're going to probably have a lot better luck with Drew Sample. I don't know why CJ is even there. Number two, the best part of the Jets team is their defensive line. That's their best part of the team. You got to be able to respect that. I understand you want to go out there and you want to dominate. However, if you want to go out there and win the game, you got to respect the game. You got to respect it. So if their best part is their defensive line, let's string that out. Let's stop running to the short side of the field. Let's run to the open side of the field. Let's make those defensive line run. You make them run, you get them tired. Trust me, I know. I was a defensive lineman. I got really tired really fast. Now, again, high school days. You want to go to my high school? My picture's up there. Just saying. Wasn't in football. It was in lacrosse, but leave me alone. Um, but at any rate, you can't go out. You can't. You got to be able to respect. You got to respect your opponent. That's what I'm basically trying to say. The Bengals didn't respect the Jets, and in the NFL, that's what happens. It's a week to week league. Anybody can beat anybody. This isn't college anymore. This isn't high school anymore. Anybody can beat anybody. It's especially in the NFL. And I guess any quarterback can throw for 400 yards, and that's exactly what freaking Mike White did. Excuse me. I will say this as a Bearcats fan, for any Bearcats fans, you all are probably pretty familiar with Mike White. He played at Memphis. I do remember him playing a little bit at Memphis, but I remember him beating us too. So Mike White's just got Cincinnati's number, I guess. That might be it. Actually, it might be just the Mike White curse for the Bengals. But here's the thing. So that being said, you got to recalibrate, and you got to look right back at this team. Number one, the offense as not as bad as they looked because just from the eye test, they did not look good. But they scored points, and they scored enough to win. You scored 31 in the NFL, you should win. Your defense has got to get it done. Then you look at the other side of the ball, the defensive scheme and the defensive players were soft as Charmin Ultra. Soft, soft. Because I mean, we played just so much zone. We treated like their receivers were all like deep threat, like Devontae Adams and Jamar Chase is on the freaking Jets, and that Mike White's gonna hit him too. So we also have to throw that in there as well. Yeah. So that being said, we got to recalibrate here. We got to relook at everything, and we got to just take it back. Number one, this team is really good. This team can still win the division. We're 2-0 in the division. Two of your games that you've won are on the road. That's massive. You won at Pittsburgh and at Baltimore. Now you got a Cleveland team coming up who's 4-5. They're down in the dumps. Odell and Odell's father are now slinging it at Baker Mayfield on Twitter. And if you went back and watched the highlights of the Pittsburgh Browns game, number one, both teams look terrible. Number one, Pittsburgh's defense is still unreal with T.J. Watt. But I mean, that's also a defense that the Bengals put 24 points on. So take that for as you may. But if you went back and looked at those highlights, a lot of it wasn't Baker's fault. A lot of it was the receiver's fault. That being said, you probably saw a lot of this, and I'm kind of jumping all over the place here now because I'm talking about Brown Steelers, so I'm kind of all over the place. You look at that game, and you'll see that like a lot of blame was being put not on Baker, and a lot of people were saying you can't blame Baker for this loss. You can't blame Baker for this loss. Listen, yes, you can. A lot of it was not Baker's fault. A lot of it was. He is a game manager. He is your quarterback. He gets you ready for the games, along with the coaching staff. He's just like that. And if he wants to be a leader, then I suggest he's got to stop doing all these freaking commercials because that's exactly what happened to him his first year. He did a lot of commercials. There was a lot of hype around him. Guess what? Dog shit. Didn't mean to curse there, but yeah. And then now it's the same thing again. And now they're ripping each other on Twitter and on YouTube, and it's going all over the place. I gotta say, a lot of it can be placed on Baker. He is a terrible game manager. He's not getting that offense ready to go. He's not a leader, and I thought he was. I bought into it. I thought he was. Looking at the Steelers look exactly what we thought they are. Defense is really good. Offense really sucks. I mean, that's kind of it. They're gonna find a way to win games. And you just gotta be the better team, which the Bengals are. They're a better team. So that being said, you're 2-0 in the division. You have Cleveland coming into Cincinnati, 4-5. If you beat them here, Browns will go 0-2 in the division. The Bengals will be 3-0. That pretty much knocks Cleveland out completely, in my opinion, because Cleveland's got a whole lot else. They got to go to Pittsburgh. They got Baltimore twice, and then they have Cincinnati one more time in Cleveland at the end of the year. So this could really knock Cleveland out. Cleveland needs to win this game. I say we do as well. We want to win this division, and I think we can. I think we're the best team in the division. I think this is a team that is the best poised to do it. You got to win here. You have to win on Sunday, without a doubt. Steelers are looking better, especially on defense. I would agree. Yeah, yeah. I mean, Steelers are a good team. They got T.J. Watt back. All that's just kind of figured out, and I mean, their defense is going to carry them through a lot of games. Now, to be fair, I would say a lot of their wins are not against not great competition, but like we've been talking about this entire time, it's the NFL. Anybody can beat anybody. So the fact that you can go out there and get it done and win, it's all that matters. So then forget the AFC North. You look down the schedule. Bengals got a lot of winnable games. A lot of them are at home. Kansas City looked terrible. Looked terrible last night against the Giants. Absolutely terrible. And then you got the Chargers again, who have really fallen off. A lot of people have really figured out the Chargers. And Justin Herbert's good. The dude's got a cannon. So you got to watch out for that. But that's a winnable game. You got to go. You got Baltimore again at home. You did the hard part. You got them at home. They're going to be coming for. They're going to be coming for your. They're going to be coming for the crown. Because right now the Bengals still have it. and they own it. We own the Ravens right now. So they're going to come in. They're going to be looking for. They're going to be looking for it. Problem is that the Ravens still have is that they still don't have that great of a run game without Lamar Jackson. You take Lamar out, they have nothing. They have literally nothing. I saw today that they acquired Allen Robinson. Doesn't really scare me that much. I don't think that's going to be enough to beat us. Honestly, the Ravens are still going to be pretty good, but I don't think it's going to be enough. Um, yeah, just like Blackthorn said, the Chargers decline is a surprise, and yeah, it is. It was a shocker. Um, but here's the thing, and you guys saw it, and I thought it was a little cheesy at first, but now it's like okay, I kind of get it. When Joe Mixon, Jesse Bates, and I believe it was Tyler Boyd, all came out to the press conference together. Said we're not going to point fingers. We're going to come out together and we're stand united, and that's great. That's awesome, wonderful. I didn't need you to come out and say that. I kind of expected that from this team because this is exactly what this team is. We're about to see what this team really is and what they can do. They got to come out and I mean honestly they got to go and they got to whoop up on the Browns. And I think they can. I really think they can. I think this is a game that's winnable. It's in Cincinnati. You can make a statement. You go 3-0 in the division and you can take the crown in the AFC North and just like that, forget the playoffs. You win in the AFC North. Now you got to start looking around the rest of the league. We need some Buffalo losses. Obviously, we need some Baltimore losses. We need a couple of the other teams that we're looking around. We need Vegas to keep losing, and their wide receiver really, man, that Henry Ruggs situation. If you haven't heard, Henry Ruggs, he's one of their best receivers. He got involved in DUI last night, and he apparently, when somebody in the DUI accident died, it wasn't him. So you draw your own conclusion, but that I mean that's a terrible situation. Then on top of that, they have an interim head coach. We keep saying that you got to go to. I mean, then that's one of our away games. So I mean, okay, I like her. I like her chances at Bay. I really do. I really do. And we just gotta come together and again, I don't think this team's gonna be pointing fingers. I really don't. I think they're professional. I think they know what they're doing. They like each other. They'll be fine. I really I saw enough to know that this team is not bad. I mean, just caught us. The NFL. This team definitely isn't bad. This team is where they should be, like against the Ravens. Like that. That's where this team you is pretty much is at. I would love to see. And somebody called it. It said Packers Bengals rematch in the Super Bowl. That would be sick. I'd love to also see the Cardinals out there. Yeah, that was another thing too. A lot of other teams lost around the league as well. A lot of bad losses. Tampa Bay went down to freaking the Saints, and they're all they Trevor Simeon also had a great game. And it was just the season of the backups, I guess. So I mean, it happens. All right, y'all. It is currently 6:58. That's about all I got for this game here. At 7:30, we have the college football rankings. Can't wait to go see them. I believe personally, I think UC is going to be at number 3. If you haven't seen it yet, it came out today that Desmond Ritter was asked to be on the show and do an interview. He declined, which I think was a smart move because he's got to focus on the American. And I really like that. Oh shoot, Blackthorn, you're absolutely right. One more thing about the AFC. Derrick Henry is out for the year, and that's huge because that's another team that we needed to lose. I mean, obviously it's terrible for the sport because I love watching Derrick Henry run. He's ridiculous. He really is an absolute beast. But he's out for the year, so I mean that's pretty big, and we need that's Titans were another team we needed to lose. I want to thank everybody for watching here. Definitely go and watch. The Bearcats are going to be, I believe, third. I think they're going to be third. So going back to what I said, Desmond Ritter was asked to interview tonight, and I don't think they're going to ask him to interview if they're left out of the top 4. So I think they'll be 3. I believe it'll be Georgia 1. I think it'll be Michigan State 2, Cincinnati 3, and it'll be Oklahoma 4. That's my thought process tonight. And then I had one more thing. I'll come back. Blackthorn, thank you again for participating. Really, guys, I'll come shout you out. I'll give you a bunch of love if you come watch on YouTube. I'll be posting this later if you missed it, and so we'll be talking later. All right, guys. So that'll do it. This has been the Back Row Bengals Sports Podcast. I am your host, Josh Miller. It's been brought to you by fansided.com. Go over there if you want to read some great articles or listen to some great podcasts. All right, y'all. I'll see you later. Take care. And hoo day. And let's hope that we see a big old number 3 or number 2 next to the Bearcats name. All right, y'all. Peace.